Hello and welcome to Honest Faith Conversations. Welcome to the conversation. As always, I am your co-host, Miguel Covarrubias.
And I am Kathy Covarrubias, and today we're going to go back and we're going to discuss This Is Us, Season 1, Episode 1.
Yes, the pilot episode, and we are not going to be doing the spoiler alert this week, primarily because I am pretty sure that you guys have had enough time to go back and watch this episode. But we do want to give you a warning that we are going to probably get a little bit emotional in this episode because we are talking a lot about ourselves and about some of the painful things that we went through and kind of why this episode kind of resonated with us. Kathy can tell you I was weeping even the second time watching through. And I have to say it's completely different watching it for a second time than it was the first time. The first time I was just kind of sitting there thinking, hey, I know Milo Ventimiglia from Heroes. He was Peter Petrelli. And let's see, I was also like, hey, Kevin looks familiar. What did I remember him from? And it wasn't until recently that I realized that he was in Smallville, that he was... He was Oliver Queen. He was the Green Arrow in Smallville, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and of course I was like, Mandy Moore, but everybody knows who Mandy Moore is,
Yeah. She sang that one Switchfoot song in that one movie where she was dying, or the other guy was dying. It's been so long.
Yeah. A Walk to Remember?
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, in our Stranger Things episode, we talked about Toby, where we saw him before.
Yep.
And so,
which I think he gained weight for this.
Yeah, maybe lost it again. I'm not sure.
Or I don't know which one was recorded first, because it could have been that he was recording this first and then recorded Stranger Things. I can't remember what came out first. Listeners, you can remind us of that. But I did notice there was a significant weight difference, but.
It didn't make a difference to me.
No.
Anyway, the major plot threads in this one, there are a few issues that I think that kind of it deals with more than others. But I think overall it's kind of talking about dealing with issues in your own life in the pilot, which is great. It's a great hook. It's kind of, everybody has their own issues.
And what I like about the pilot is that you go in thinking like, oh, these are all people who share the same birthday. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're all turning 36. Okay. And then, okay, I'm assuming you guys all watched the first episode. So, but then you'll really, they're all related? They're all family? That was kind of a cool twist that I didn't see coming. I think most people didn't see that coming either. For most of us who watched Parenthood, it was also kind of...
It filled that hole.
You did fill that hole of Parenthood. I know when Parenthood ended, I was like, no, but it was time to end when I think about it.
It was the weekly cry fest,
mm-hmm.
and I think This Is Us really kind of filled that hole. Which, by the way, I did tweet This Is Us about them needing to pay for our Kleenex bills and, facial tissue bills.
Yes.
And they responded back with a gif of Kevin saying, how about we reimburse you? I thought that was hilarious. So you're going to be tweeted that when we finish this episode, let you know that we talked about that a little bit. But the major plot threads in this with dealing with life issues is the weight issues for Kate, obviously. The actor issues with Kevin,
mm-hmm.
Trying to do, kind of his midlife crisis of trying to figure out...
worthy roles for himself.
Yeah, to like his life to mean something rather than
mm-hmm.
just the Manny. And then dealing with the early labor, and we're really going to focus on that because that's kind of our story. So with that being said...
then also, too, with Randall, finding his birth parent.
Yeah, with finding his birth parent. Oh, yeah, that I forgot to put that in there. Whoops.
Shame.
And, this is... I write outlines for our podcast before we get started talking about our podcast, and so the next section here is called "This Is Us: The Faith in the Story," which that's a little bit of a Bones reference because you know that every Bones episode has the this and the this kind of format. But I think that essentially, with talking about this first episode, we've got to talk about our own story because I think the way that this is a faith story for us, it resonates so well with that because of our story. That we do find those pieces, those artifacts, that we bring them back to the real world through our own story. And so I wanted to talk about our own story to kind of pick up those faith pieces, and hopefully somebody out there, a listener, will get a bit of faith story for themselves from our story.
Yeah, and we also talk about this too in both of our blogs. If you guys are interested in looking there too, of more of like a hard copy of it. If you follow us on social media, you know that we share our story a lot. When I first shared it, it was before Mark Zuckerberg came out with like his struggle with his wife and their family situation. And it was really hard for me because I felt like I was like unburdening. I was putting too much burden on other people's lives by telling them like how I was feeling and how I wasn't doing okay. But I'm glad that since I first shared my story that, you know, major like celebrities have been also sharing theirs.
Yeah. So let's rewind to 2013. 2013 was obviously a rough year for us, but in 2013 we were in our second year of marriage. We were finally getting the swing of being, you know, two different human beings living in the same house and you know, sharing a bed and all this other stuff. And
you know, like normal, like I would say it's just more normal, like first couple years of marriage stuff.
Yeah. And we'd been together for a while at that point, and so we knew each other pretty well. But we had started trying to have kids, and because we both come from families, and we wanted to have a family of our own. And this was
Sorry, go ahead.
this was a thing that, you know, I've always seen myself as a dad. I've always wanted to be a dad, and that's, you know, that was something that, you know, I don't know. This may be different for other guys, but for me, that's something that I wanted with my life, and I wanted to. I mean, we even talked about this on our first date. That's, you know, a big no-no for first dates. You know, is don't talk about kids on the first date. But.
Well, okay. In defense of that, you didn't know it was a first date.
Yeah. Well,
I knew it was a first date, but.
Anyway, around May of 2013, I was at work, and Kathy doesn't usually visit me at work all that often. Well, when I was working as a youth minister, she didn't visit me all that often. But you know, when she did it, you know, they were special occasions.
Sometimes it was because I was bored, but
yeah. One day, she came in. She came into my office, and she had a gift for me, which is unusual, and because it's May, you know, it's an unusual, you know, time for her to come in with a gift because our anniversary is early May, and this was around late May, and we were kind of doing, you know, it was fine, you know, we were doing our thing, and you know, I'm like, this is a weird time for her to give me a gift. And I open this gift, and it's a T-shirt that says, in the big Star Wars font, it says, "I am your father." It was her funny way of telling me that she was pregnant.
And luckily, it was around Father's Day, so that like particular T-shirt was on sale. So
yeah. I mean, I was overjoyed. I was over the moon, and I mean, everybody in my office, I was, you know, telling, and you know, it's fantastic, and I would begin to. I mean, just right there at that moment, it's like all of a sudden your life becomes about that transition of going from we to an us kind of thing. Is that we have just the two of us. Now there's going to be three of us, and and imagining what your life is going to be like, and all these expectations about what this little person is going to be. Mm-hmm. And I talk about that because I think that that's important to knowing the story. Is that a few months later, or about a month and a half later, that things started to fall apart.
I mean, in all honesty, like my memory isn't so good because when I go into depression states, I just have like blackouts. Like I just don't remember much. But I do remember going to, well, I had already had a first ultrasound. Mm-hmm. Because I was bleeding a little bit. And so I had the first ultrasound. There was a heartbeat. But Miguel wasn't with me. And then they're like, okay, well, a few days, like, I think it was like the next week, they were going to do another one, to, just to make sure. And immediately I was like, there's no heartbeat. Like, I already knew. Like, of course, the technician is not supposed to say anything because, they're not a medical doctor, so they can't give, a diagnosis.
They're also not really trained to deal, with a lot of the crisis stuff. They're kind of just there to do their job of, ultrasounding.
Yeah, and she was like, okay, well, I need to go get the doctor. And like I said, immediately I was like, there's no heartbeat. Like I have this weird, uncanny, ability to decipher ultrasounds. I know a lot of people are like, it just looks like a bunch of gray and black and white to me. Like I can't tell what's going on in there, but I can, decipher things pretty easily, probably because I've had so many ultrasounds, but, yeah, and I just knew.
And it was at this ultrasound that I was wearing the T-shirt that she had got me, the, I'm your father T-shirt. And just sitting in the doctor's office, waiting for her to come in and trying to convince Kathy, and I knew that there was something wrong too, and I was trying to be strong for Kathy, and I was trying to tell her that everything's going to be okay, that maybe they just they couldn't find the heartbeat or something, that it's okay, everything's going to be okay. And I knew it wasn't going to be okay, and I felt just so ashamed for wearing that T-shirt because I knew that I was not going to be a father at that moment. Is that all of those dreams kind of came shattering down. At the time, we were getting ready for a group to come into the church, and I was getting things ready there. I was cleaning up the room, and I was making sure that everything was okay. And we had this was a few days before that, and I just remember us going home from the doctor's office that day after she had given us the word, and she said, she asked us, "Do you want to have the DNC?" Which is a procedure to remove the tissue and everything else, and to make sure that she was okay. And we were like a week away from going on vacation to California.
Yeah, so it was just better just to have it done because,
yeah,
I didn't want to be on vacation and have to worry about that. Like mm-hmm. It was just better. It was better.
And so. We elected to do it a few days after. The morning that we set it up was the morning that after the group came in. Mm-hmm. And so, or the morning before they came in, actually, what it was. And I remember going after I got you home, after the procedure was done, that, I was just broken. And I'm going through the motions, I'm helping them out, and, I am on the verge of tears, like, every single moment after that. And it was horrible. I remember we tried to go to church the next morning, and midway through the service, we couldn't take it. I mean, both of us just broke down. We mm-hmm. just started bawling,
And mind you, through this whole entire thing, like, I'm one of those people that, I don't want to make people sad because of my sadness, so I will crack up just, stupid jokes just to try to make other people feel better, which is, I don't know, I'm so weird. Like, why do I do that? Like, trying to make other people feel better.
It's a natural instinct, you know. It's kind of the thing that we do. Anyway, the morning after, I like to, and I've said this before about the story, was that it was that morning after when we're bawling in church, is that people didn't stop the service. They didn't do anything to draw attention to us. They just came and sat with us and cried with us and put their arms around us. And I talked about that in a recent blog post about sheep. That's how I label it here. Is that what it means to be a caring person? What it means to actually reach out to somebody is to cry when they're sad, to be with them when they're sad, and I'll talk about this a little later on. Oh, just now I am going to talk about it.
Yep.
Is that as in this episode, that moment with Dr. K sitting down with Jack, talking about that he lost his first child, and you don't get over it. You carry it with you every single day, and it's true. I mean, we do. At least for me, it's that pain is there with me every day. And we went through this twice in that same year. The second time was at Christmas, and we were moving. And we decided the second time to go through it naturally, and that was extremely scary.
Yeah, that was. I don't think I'll ever make that decision again, because I ended up having to go to the hospital. I had a lot of blood loss. It was scary. Like I was shaking. Yeah, and then I remember being in the emergency room, and they were just like. And mind you, this was back in Colorado, and in Colorado, especially Colorado Springs, where we were, they're very, very conservative. And so they were asking a lot of invasive questions, like, how do you know you're pregnant? Like, how do you know you lost the baby already? Like, how do you know? Like, they were almost like accusing me of, like, having an abortion, which I'm totally pro-choice, by the way. But the fact that they were, like, accusing me of
intentionally harming the pregnancy,
and it was something that I desperately wanted, like that, just like it still makes me angry.
But I mean, I wanted to talk about this because especially in this episode, I think Dr. K kind of he encapsulates what it means to be a true caring person, a true loving person. Is when he comes up to Jack and he just asks him, "Do you mind if I keep you company? Do you mind if I say something?" And I think that in itself is incredible, and I think that's truly what it means to be a caring person, and to be. I mean, that's what made me weep, is because so many times that's what I wanted. I just wanted somebody to come up to me and sit with me, just to cry with me, and. Because we as human beings, there's that saying that misery loves company. And I don't think they mean it, most of the time they mean it in a way that, they're accusing somebody of trying to make other people miserable. But I think what it means is that you just need another person to sit there and go through it with you, to cry with you, to just feel it with you. And I mean, I'm sorry, but the wound stays with you every day. You don't get over it. You take it with you, and you use it. Mm-hmm. And as he said in this episode at the very end, there is that what I like to think is to see that you took the sourest lemons that life could give you, and you made something resembling lemonade. And that's just something that, for a long time I couldn't figure out what the silver lining was to this cloud. Mm-mm. Was why us, this entire time. And we continued to try after that. In Colorado, we went for tests. We went
and we had trouble
test after test.
And we had trouble getting pregnant too. So then at that point in time, I had just given up. I was like, whatever. It's just not going to happen.
We had we'd stopped. We had before that we had lost a lot of weight. I had lost 80 pounds, and Kathy lost 40 pounds, and we were within, the BMI and everything else like this. But when we got to Colorado after this whole thing, if you're like us and any kind of emotional injury, you kind of want to eat your feelings, and you know that you do, but you're still going to do it anyway. So in Colorado, we kind of, we let that kind of slide a bit because we were like, we're still healing, and there's a lot to our story, of course, but trying to fit this all into 45 minutes is a little difficult.
Well, we might have to do a two-parter. We could do a two-parter if this goes longer, but
yeah. But that's one of the things that we kind of considered about it, was maybe the weight is there, maybe the weight is an issue, and so I resonate with Kate a lot in this too. Is I remember being at my heaviest and thinking some of the same things that she does. Is that I'm never going to get rid of it. I'm never going to be able to do this stuff. And
and like, how the hell did I get here?
Exactly. I put actor issues underneath this too because we both studied theater in college, and there's this weird thing that happens with introverts, and this is especially for me, is when you're going through something, when you're going through, big tough times, is that you really try not to portray that with other people. You try not you put on another character in front of other people, and this character isn't hurting, and you try to play off as you're okay, but the truth is you're not okay. Mm-mm. And this was my big thing, was that I was trying to contribute to the world, but in the grand scheme of things, I was not okay. I was still hurting, like majorly hurting, and I think this really affected me and those around me, and I was trying not to take it out on other people, but it's hard, and that whole period of our life was very we were trying. And it was trying on us too. And then we moved again.
Mm-hmm. We move a lot.
Yeah.
We're not going to move anymore, though. I put my foot down. By the way, I'm just putting this out there to the universe. I'm still owed a kitten.
Anyway, that was our deal about moving to Cleveland. I need to get a job first.
Yes, job then kitten.
Yes, and then we got pregnant, and the entire pregnancy was incredibly trying, because I was very afraid every single time we went to the doctor's office.
And by the way, like, Miguel has not missed a doctor's appointment since then. Wait, I think you missed like one during Peter's, but it was like. Yeah. In the third trimester, and so we were in the clear by then. But
that when we were at the every 2 weeks, so it was kind of like, I was there the last time, and he's viable now. So
yeah, yep.
I don't think I need to go to this one.
Yep, and there was like ultrasounds done already, so we knew he was fine. But I actually, how Facebook does like the Facebook memories.
Yeah.
Well. About a month ago, it popped up that you posted this a year ago. And, he's fine. You said oh, no, he's not. Hold on.
Well, I think, his ears perked up when, we started talking about him, but,
Yeah, I guess this is going to be just the reoccurring thing that happens in our podcast now.
Well, that's the problem with trying to record it while he's napping.
Yeah. So anyway, about a year ago, I was looking at the Facebook, whatever they're called, like flashbacks or
memories.
Yeah, the memories. And I wrote this big, long post about how, like, this pregnancy, like, I felt like I couldn't enjoy it because I was constantly, like, looking at the clock. And every single week, I would look at the chances of me having a miscarriage and watch those go down. And then once you hit the 20-week mark, then it starts going into, like, how, like, his chance of surviving, like, if he's born, and watching that go, like, up the further along in my pregnancy. And I was constantly on edge, constantly, like, worried, like, about, like, if I accidentally fell taking our dog on a walk. Like, is that going to hurt him? And I couldn't really enjoy it. I didn't want to have maternity pictures done because I was like, if something happens, like, I don't want to have that memory.
Yeah. And, I mean, honestly, I felt alone through the entire thing as I was trying to comfort her, and I was trying to do this, with that huge anxiety and that fear. And, I've spoken about this before, but I have generalized anxiety disorder, and this kind of compounded things, is that, I was so worried that, the next doctor's appointment, we weren't going to hear his heartbeat, that the next time that we went to the doctor's office, that he wasn't going to be alive anymore, that we were going to have to go through this pain one more time. And I mean, we're just trying to make the best out of our situation. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely scary if you've ever been through this before. It's that you feel alone because you don't feel like a whole lot of people have gone through what you've gone through. Is that a lot of people just stop trying after that. I mean, they don't go for their rainbow baby is what the term is after you've had a few storms of pregnancies and stuff like that, the baby that comes after that is a rainbow baby. And so throughout our entire pregnancy with Peter here, I felt alone. And the next thing on this that I wrote down is too much sugar, not enough water. And I'm talking about lemonade here. Is that when people tried to help us out, is that they were trying to do sweet things for us, which that's why I called it too much sugar, not enough water. It was that they were trying to do things to make us feel better, and it was sweet and all, and we're grateful in very many ways. But I think that the problem with that is that all I wanted was just somebody to sit down with me and talk to me and get to know me as a human being.
Yep.
And to cry with me when I'm crying, and to feel afraid with me when I'm feeling afraid, and I felt like I couldn't really tell Kathy about all of this stuff because I knew that she was going through a lot of it too, and I was trying to be strong for her. And I mean, that's why I feel so much with Jack in this episode, is because I think the thing about the bad pregnancies with losing a child in this is that you never get that opportunity to see something. It's never tangible in a way. Is that you lose something that you never really had to begin with, and it's devastating because you don't have closure. You don't have something that you can hold on to for that. Mm-hmm. I think that's why the wound is so deep for us, is because of that for me. And now, I mean, now being a parent now with Peter here, is that it's dealing with the pain in manageable ways, but it's still there. I mean, it's still, something that's a part of our daily life, is that as a parent of a rainbow baby, you gotta have this weird, ineffable mixed feeling with everything.
Yeah, it's true. Like, sometimes you actually feel guilty because it doesn't hurt as much, but then you are guilty because it doesn't hurt as much. Yeah. And it's just this weird feeling. And
I mean, almost every time he gets sick or there's any small little problem, I think a lot of people will start to see you as overreacting, as being an overbearing parent. But there's something behind that, for us, is that, we don't want to go through that pain of losing a child again. And I mean, a lot of people say that miscarriage and stuff like that is that, it's not really losing a child, but in a sense, I think it is. It's still a deep and abiding pain.
To me, I don't feel like I necessarily lost a child. It's more like I was robbed of an opportunity to have a child.
Yeah. I can understand that. And I mean, that, for me, I think it's a whole lot worse for those who, who go through the entire pregnancy and have, a problem at childbirth. I think it's probably a whole lot worse for them because it was bad at first, but then you have something that's tangible, and it's something that is that there. I mean, that you were so close, and then, and so for Jack and Rebecca in this, that I can just imagine that it's just. Am I say, is that right? Is that his character's name, Jack?
Yeah, it's Jack.
I mean, we saw in a recent episode kind of the other story of that, the rest of what was going on that day. And I think for them, I mean, they were making the best of a bad situation. They were making lemonade the best way they could. And now I think that, why I do some of the things that I do with Peter is because I'm wanting to make sure that his life is good and that I am the best parent that I can be with him. And I'm trying to make lemonade here out of the sour lemons that we were given. And I mean, that's why I tell my story. That's why I'm doing all these creative projects, is because I hope that, because of the pain that I went through with stuff, is that I hope that somebody gets something from this. And I hope that somebody gets something from this broadcast. And if you do, we would love to hear about it. Even if you're going through it right now and you just need somebody to commiserate with you, to say, we went through this. We're here for you. We'll cry with you. I'll cry with you.
Yeah, and it's totally okay to feel the feelings that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like I know some people felt like they didn't feel sad enough.
Yeah.
Other people are wondering why they feel so sad. I mean, everybody deals with it differently. So, and none of it is going about it the wrong way. It's just your way of dealing with it.
Exactly. Don't ever think that you're alone, because you're not. And, yeah. Anyway, we'll get to the reaching out to us at the end of the episode. But that's our story. We're sticking to it. Let's move on to our controversial issues segment, because we're running out of time here. There is just one controversial issue that I think this whole broadcast brings up, is women's health.
Yeah. I think it kind of brings up too, because if we talk about weight loss a little bit, there's...
Oh, we talked about that in the last This Is Us.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay, well, if you want to know that, go back to our last This Is Us episode, and
for episode 11.
Yeah, you can see or hear our thoughts on that. Yeah, I said, am a proponent of pro-choice, even though I have gone through 2 miscarriages myself, and I have struggled with infertility myself. A lot of people who are, pro-birth don't understand why I feel the way that I do sometimes, because they're like, well, you lost a child. You should know how it feels. And to me, like I said before, that's because I wanted a child. That was my plan. That was what I felt needed to happen. And, that's just not the case for all women.
Well, and the problem with that is, the DNC can be considered an abortion in many states. In fact, there was a rule that Colorado had just put in place after we had moved, or they were trying to put into place.
Yeah, they didn't pass it, thank God. But
one of their personhood bills, and that would have made it illegal for us to have had that procedure done.
Well, it wouldn't have made it illegal to had it done, but there would have been an investigation, an actual police investigation as to, was this a real miscarriage, or are you just saying that and you purposely tried to abort this baby?
Exactly.
And I had a little bit of that happen in that hospital, and I think it's because the hospital we went to... Ooh, sorry, Peter's trying to do some aerobic moves up here. That hospital that we went to, I think it was a religious affiliated hospital, and it was more like they had to ask these questions because their boss, made them ask these questions, which can be dangerous too. Because I know that there's some hospitals that won't perform DNCs.
Yeah.
Even in the case of miscarriages, which doesn't make any sense. So then you had to go somewhere else. And that was the thing, too, when we were in the hospital. they were like, well, we have to make sure that all of that tissue is gone. And if it's not gone naturally, then we have to send you to another hospital to get the procedure done because we can't do it here. Like, they physically did not have the equipment, which just blew my mind. I'm like, seriously? You'd have to transfer me and I have to pay for, like, more expenses to be transferred to another hospital because you guys aren't equipped to handle this?
And it was a hospital, like, an hour away, too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that just seemed crazy to me. And, I mean, there are a lot of issues, and I as a male, I don't know that I can actually speak to any of this, but, you know, I think that I don't know that there are that many women out there who are choosing to have an abortion for
like
wrong reasons.
Yeah,
you know?
or like for birth control reasons. Like most, I know a few women who have had abortions, and it had nothing to do with birth control. In fact, it was because their birth control failed. Like the birth control that they were using failed, and they weren't financially ready, or they weren't like just mentally ready to have a kid because they were a kid themselves. And, you know, I know some people are like, adopt. You can just, have them adopt. But that stigma of being pregnant at such a young age when you are not ready follows you, and people will judge you. Like, I don't care what you say. Like, I know that happens. Mm-hmm. I know, because when I was in high school, like, my church was very, like, into, like, protesting Planned Parenthood and that kind of stuff. And I know I judged those girls who got pregnant, and I feel terrible about it, and I shouldn't have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, this is a much larger issue than just us, too. And I mean, this is just two podcasters weighing in a little bit on this because of our story. But I mean, again, you are not alone. If you're going through any of this stuff, reach out to somebody, get help. Even if it's us, I don't know how much help we can be, but we'll try. So I think we're going to close out our broadcast now. And
so I guess it won't be a two-parter because we actually are within our time constraint.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to remind you about our website, thehonestfaith.com. And on the website this week, I just put up a couple of T-shirts and a mug and a hoodie. There is some things in a Teespring store that we have put up there. There are two designs up there. Proceeds from that, some of the proceeds will go to UN refugees, which the UN Refugee Agency, and take a look. If you like them, great. If you have any feedback on them, send us feedback. I'd love to hear some of your feedback. And, you can always email us at honestfaithconvos@gmail.com.
Yep.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast.
Wherever you find our podcast at.
Yes. Especially on Spreaker. Spreaker's a great back end for podcasters. So if you're looking to get into podcasting, I would highly recommend checking out Spreaker. It's not that expensive to start out at, and
they're not paying us for this.
Hopefully they'll get an upgrade for an account. That would be great, but probably not. But just recommending that.
There's also Twitter and Facebook.
Yep. Find us on Twitter and on Facebook, both at Real Honest Faith. And so come and join the conversation.